It was a game like every other game. You wake up in a hotel in some city and you go to the field and the game starts, and it was a nice night in Texas. They clocked the speed of the ball at 105, and at that speed it's either going to hit you or it's not. There's nowhere for you to go. And it hit me so hard when I turned that the ball ricocheted all the way to first base. When you get hit in the shoulder, you get hit in the leg, it makes a sound. But when you get hit on bone, it makes a sound that you never forget.
So about 20, 30 minutes go by, and Joe is telling me that they're now switching Evan from the hospital across the street to the university hospital, but he didn't know why. It was just kind of a rush thing. Time kind of just, I felt like it was going ridiculously fast and also just standing still, and I got a phone call from Andrew Hauser, and the first thing he said was, Evan's in critical condition. He has, his brain is bleeding, he has a skull fracture. My wife and I and the Diamondbacks were trying to find you a flight to be able to fly out tonight or tomorrow morning. We don't know if Evan's gonna make it through the night.
Evan, had a really bad set of circumstances. A perfectly hit ball to the worst place in your skull to hit, and some immediate bleeding, which actually, even though in the situation where there were lots of help right there and they got him to the right place in the right time, still required surgery emergently to relieve pressure from the brain.
I was slipping into a coma a little bit after surgery. They couldn't get me to wake up. And so the neurosurgeon brought her and the dog in to see if they could talk to me and get me to wake up. And she came in, and my eyes twitched a little bit when she talked to me. And then our dog, he kind of caught wind of me and just got up close, and he took his paw and he just hit me in the chest one time, and my eyes snapped right open. Because I got hit on the right side of my head so hard, the left side of my body wasn't responding. It wasn't, my left leg wasn't walking as strong as my right leg. I would hear my left heel scuffing on the ground. It was hard for me to hold anything with my left arm, and the left side of my face was kind of drooping down and unresponsive, and so that caused me to slur my words a little bit.
One of the first things he said to me when he woke up is, I still think I can be a September call-up. And I'm looking at him, he's got the 20, he's got the 18 staples on the side of his head, and then the 2 that they added after they took out the blood tube, since he still had blood draining from his brain. He had a tube down his throat, and he had a breathing machine. It was a lot to take in the neck brace, and then to have that be something that he tells me, I'm just like, you were the strongest person I've ever met.
He was very fortunate in the location of the brain, that the bleeding was outside the brain and wasn't deep in the tissues of the brain, so that allowed things to heal very quickly.
It took some explaining for me to understand what I had just gone through. I knew I had gotten hit. If I took my hand and went down the side of my head, I had 20 staples, so I knew that I had been opened up.
The Diamondbacks, they had me out on a plane at midnight. I got in at 4 in the morning with our dog and with our roommate, her dog. And right before the plane took off, they called me and said that Evan had just gotten out of surgery and that his brain, the swelling was already starting to go down, that they found the bleed just right away.
I've worked with the Diamondbacks in the past, so they called and told me they had a player and they thought he was going to need some rehabilitation services. They were anxious to get started, probably more anxious than his brain was ready to get started, but they wanted to get out of New Mexico and back here to Arizona and get going on the rehabilitation.
You never understand when it's going to happen, whether it's on a sports field, a car accident, a fall, whatever might cause it. You have to embrace the process, because I'm as stubborn as they come, and I told myself I was fine and I didn't want to do these things. But they challenged me, well, why don't you try to get up? And I got up and I struggled. And then I was like, okay, I really need to focus and work hard on this. And my determination and believing in what they were telling me, that's what really got me going.
I think one of the questions I was asked when I first took care of Evan was, well, how could this happen playing baseball? Oh my gosh, is nobody safe? We thought this just happens in football. It can happen in our everyday life. It can happen in participation in sports. The most important thing is that you get help, and that you realize that even if the physical deficits aren't huge, that the help for the cognitive deficits and the support for how you think and plan and process and all that is just as important, if not more important. So I always encourage people, it can happen to anybody, and you really just need to get the help and seek out the help. There's help available here in the community.
When we got here to Arizona, and him just being back in the home environments and just seeing his teammates, his friends, coaches, still being around family, that was when I truthfully could say, like, my husband is exactly back to how he was, which is still just absolutely mind-blowing to look, just because exactly what he said of being able to meet other patients and see other patients that a year later their life is still just so different. We feel extremely blessed, and to see what he went through and to be told from that first night of what was going to happen to even after him waking up, of being told, he may not remember who you are, he may not remember any of this. The left side of his body wasn't really responding. To see from all of that to him right next to me now, this guy's awesome. Like, he just